If you wanted to, you could pan fry lamb steaks for this, but I've roasted off. I actually got a joint of mutton at the weekend. I've roasted it off. I've left it completely plain. I've slow cooked it. I've not touched it. So it was a couple of kilos. I'm only going to use maybe about a kilo, just over, for the dish. So I'm going to do this as a full portion curry. And I say, you obviously can buy curry powders. However, when you want different strength of curry, you're always best to sort of create your own powder. So this isn't going to have a huge amount of heat. There's a little bit of Kashmiri chili going in, but that's it. The rest of it is cumin, coriander, mustard seeds, garam masala, and turmeric. I'm going to start with actually roasting off the seeds. I'm starting literally from scratch, dry pan. Obviously, because I don't have to cook the meat, I'm only sort of going to add the meat to the sauce. I can spend a little bit more time actually making the sauce itself. So, medium heat pan, dry, no oil, no nothing. Teaspoon of cumin seeds. Oh, there it is. Teaspoon of black mustard seeds. So, I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of coriander seeds. Now, what we're doing with this, Coco's going to hate it, is we're going to obviously open the seeds up. It is going to emit an aroma. It may get to the back of your throat. We're just going to let them roast off for a minute. Just going to give that another minute or two. Medium heat. You don't want this to sort of burn. We're just making the seeds, and you can sort of hear and see them popping a little bit.
It smells amazing.
Yeah, the smell coming out. Mostly, we're trying to get the coriander seeds. I can see it here. They're just popping open, a bit like popcorn. We want them to pop open. It's going to make them easier to grind. And I'm going to use the pestle and mortar for grinding the seeds. You could use a little, I was about to reach in and get the coffee grinder, but I thought I'll just do it by hand, because once they're warm, they're softer, and they should grind quite easily. Alright, so the mustard seeds are popping out of the pan. I can see them all turning a nice golden brown. I'm going to give them another 30 seconds. You can probably just about see there's some smoke coming off the pan. Yeah, they're popping quite a lot now. There you go. That's off. If I don't get this fine enough, I will use the coffee grinder. So that has actually ground down quite nicely. Not a fine powder like you would with the garam masala, because it hasn't gone through like the milling cogs, but it's certainly enough for the curry. Absolutely, definitely. That's really good, really good. A little bit of oil. We're going to throw in the shallots. I keep the heat low. I want to keep these soft and translucent. So keep them a little bit chunkier if you want. I'm going to do this over a low heat, just because it's going to take a minute or two to get the garlic and the ginger prepped. In the other pestle and mortar, it's the garlic and the ginger. Now, I just popped to a local Indian shop on my way home. So here's a supermarket garlic, and here's an Indian shop garlic. So the recipe calls for 5 garlic cloves. That's what struck me about it. So I was like, yes please. So I've managed to find 5 of the biggest garlic cloves you can possibly find. So we've got 5 good ones. Straight into the pestle and mortar. And a little bit of ginger. It's going to be about 20 grams. I'm only going to take off the majority. I'm not going to worry about little bits. Okay, a little bit of salt into that. Didn't quite give it enough oil when it was heating up. So it's still over a medium low. This is on number 4. I just want to, again, soften this lot. Not trying to dry it out, make it go golden brown. Right, so I'm going to take off about a kilo. This was boneless. I'm just going to give this another couple of minutes. Just going to get it in the middle so it doesn't dry out. Shin beef, yeah, you could use a beef for this. You could, if you wanted to do this as a slow cooked dish, then brown off the meat with the shallots and the garlic and the ginger. carry on from this point, whack everything else in together, and then stick it in a slow cooker. If you want to use a non-slow cook meat, have it ready in half an hour, 40 minutes. I'm just going to obviously dice this.
How to cook from scratch as well if you're not.
Well, you'd pan fry the lamb steaks. If you're going to start with, if you're going to do it as a lamb curry, you'd pan fry, chopped lamb steaks, diced lamb steaks, with the shallots and the garlic.
So if you're using raw lamb, add into the pan at the same time.
Yeah. So you fry it with the onions, the shallots. Right, let's have the heat up a little bit. Just going to clean my hands, wash the knives. So this is essentially a full tub of passata. I took a tiny bit out for a pizza last night. Right, so we're going to bring the tomatoes up to temperature. Got about 100 mils of water in here. We're going to let that come to the boil. We're then going to whack in our spices. You don't have to worry about if you've added a little bit too much in the way of liquid, because the spices are actually going to thicken the sauce up again. Alright, so here's our flavour blend. Now the only thing we haven't got in there now, it just needs a little bit of garam masala. Recipe calls for a 1/4 teaspoon. Whoever uses such a small amount of garam masala, get it in. Teaspoon. You can make this a slightly hotter dish with a bit of Kashmiri chili. I'm going to add a little bit, but this is meant to be quite a mild. Curry doesn't always mean hot. I'm going to be good, and I'm only going to add about a teaspoon. It's a beautiful colour, that one, actually. About 100 grams of yogurt. I've got quite a thin, weak Morrison's Greek yogurt here. To that, we're going to add turmeric. It's between a half and a quarter. Fenugreek. Honestly, if you haven't got any, make sure whenever. They do sell it in supermarkets, but I got this 100 gram bag for 99p. You'll probably pay about a fiver for the same size in a supermarket. A teaspoon fenugreek in with the yogurt. Doesn't have an overly distinctive smell as a herb or a spice, but in the curry itself, it is beautiful. It's a nice pale yellow, orangey colour. I don't want to add any more water to it because we're going to add the yogurt, and that's going to sort of obviously thin it out just a little bit. It needs a little bit of salt, but I wouldn't say masses. I've got a teaspoon of salt going in there. Everything, stalks and leaves, roughly chopped. Add the yogurt. Obviously this doesn't need to be cooked, this is just being stirred through. And give it a stir and just get that combined. It's going to lighten the sauce. That is really good. If you're doing it as a slow cook, everything up to the point where you stir the sauce in, that's the very last thing that you do. Like you say, it doesn't need to be cooked. The yogurt dip part doesn't need to be cooked. Just add it in right before you serve it. Honestly, that is beautiful. It's got a nice gentle heat to it, but loads of flavour. Lamb's perfect for this.